Well, good morning, fellow constitutionals. These are some of my morning thoughts. The other day, I was in a discussion on Facebook with somebody that will remain unnamed. They live in Ohio, which is a right to work state, and that's what I want to talk about today is right to work. Now, right to work is just some regulations on unions that keep them from preventing you from having a job either by getting it or let's say your shop becomes union and you don't want to pay the dues and you don't want to play the union game. They can't force you out, which means being part of the union is not conditional on you having that job. Well, this individual was bemoaning the fact that the union jobs that they had around there had either left or the business has gone out of business. I know the area she's living in, and I'm probably giving a little too much away here, but the unions, they didn't leave. The companies just shut down because, in my opinion, the unions drove them out of business. I've seen it more than one time. I lived in Ironton, Ohio for a few years, handful of years. And I can't tell you how many union businesses actually went under. They just filed bankruptcy and went under. They couldn't afford to pay the union, to pay the wages, the benefits, and especially the retirement packages that the unions had negotiated. So the company, instead of going deeper and deeper in debt all the time, they just closed the doors and sold out. And one of them was a big Dayton Malleable Steel in Ironton, Ohio did this. And Ohio's a right to work state. And yet unions are still to this day driving businesses into bankruptcy. And this person was bemoaning the fact that she had a better job at a union, better benefits, and she's working in a sweatshop now with very little benefits. And a couple points I want to make. One, you got a job. In this economy, you got a job. And honestly, there's more jobs out there than what people are willing to admit to. Are some of them low paying? Yes, but there are a lot of good paying jobs. I just recently got employed at a door manufacturing company in Northumberland, PA. And the wages are pretty good. Now I'm working for a temp service right now, which the wages are okay. But once I convert over to a regular company employee away from the temporary employment service, really good wages, really good benefits, and really good retirement, 401k type program, which I don't rely on companies for that anyway. I have an IRA that I keep and that I'm putting into. And, so I take care of myself. And that's my point. Unions look out for unions. They don't look out for their employees, honestly. Yeah, they get collective bargaining and they can, they get your wages and benefits and stuff like that. But when the rubber meets the road and the company doesn't want to deal anymore and you go on strike, guess who suffers? It's the workers. The union thugs, the bosses, they don't suffer. They don't suffer at all. Amco Aluminum out in Mansfield, Ohio, when I was driving truck, they were on strike. And these poor people and families, and the news stories every day, you're going through listening to the radio, how these people are starving to death. But you go past the Union Hall, which is just up the road from the Amoco factory, the aluminum factory, and the fat cats were still in their nice cars. There was story after story where people were having to sell their cars and other things that they had accumulated over the years just to make ends meet so you could put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads, and some of them even lost that. But yet the union thugs, they didn't lose their homes, they didn't lose their salaries, they didn't lose their cars. And I just have a problem with that. Plus, I believe right to work laws promote freedom and liberty. And so if you think you're in a sweatshop, that's your choice. I'm sorry, that's your choice that you're in a sweatshop. Either you find another job in that area you're living in or look for another area that has better paying jobs and go move there. I mean, no one's stopping you. And folks, just a real quick point here. That's one thing that just boggles my mind. We moved out here in 1988 because of jobs. We haven't looked back. We're actually talking about moving because of taxes and overtaxation here in Pennsylvania. We can do that. We're living in America. We can move and live wherever we want if we choose to. Some people would rather just be miserable, choose to be miserable and go around complaining about it all the time. Stop. Stop it. Make better choices. If you're not making enough money where you're at, move. I'll never understand that mentality, that you just sit there and wallow in your own pity. I have no sympathy and no patience and no time for people like that. You got choices, make them. These are my morning thoughts for February 23rd, year of the Lord 2016. We'll see you later on the show, folks.